Good morning, peeps. Welcome to My Left Ear. This is Carrie Freeman. It is, what day? It is Saturday, June 4th. And if you've never been here before, this is my left-leaning political and psychic commentary where I do the runes. I consult the runes for answers. And all kinds of things happen here. Some fun things, some quotes, some good evidence, some philosophy, but today we're kind of heavy with politics, so here we go. My name is Carrie Freeman, and I'm a change agent, and what it is I do therapy, and I do therapeutic hypnosis and coaching, all utilizing my left ear, which is my intuitive. And I also do creative coaching because I am an author and I help people with writing and creative breakthroughs. Really believe in creative breakthroughs. I have a new Patreon channel, which I'm having a lot of fun with. It's brand new. I am teaching runes. I'm sharing some very fun and personal celebrity stories, and I'm expanding. So more about that later, but it is in the description if you want to check out my Patreon. All right, this is for entertainment purposes only, as you know. We have to say that. Now I'm going to start with the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. So I'm going after today what really has popped out for me, and generally it seems to be working for you because I don't get complaints. The chief of police of Uvalde, Pete Arredondo, he was the one who said, don't go in. We're just going to wait. He's the one who held up the rescue with like 19 officers in a hallway in the school. And that day, that morning, and I don't know the reason, he did not have his police radio with him. The chief of police did not have his radio with him when he arrived on the scene. And like I said, I don't know the reason. Now, I just blew up my font. You know that happens to me from time to time. Now, he's not talking. He won't take an interview. He's hard to reach. And they caught him like going into an office or something, asked him a bunch of questions, and he kept saying, no, we're in touch. He just repeated the same thing over and over again. But evidently he is a bit MIA, not answering the phone, not returning phone calls. And it is reported that, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but in terms of making a statement or offering explanation or detail, he is guilty of saying, I'll go over it once when the families quit grieving. That really grabbed me because, first of all, the use of the word quit grieving, it struck me as like he was angry at them. Quit grieving. It seemed very harsh to me. He could have said, well, first of all, they're never going to quit grieving. Okay, we all know that. Any of us who have empathy or human qualities, we know that they're not going to quit grieving. It's really bad. The people that have survived are not going to quit grieving. The children that survived are going to need lots of mental health care. So I want to say it never stops. But this was harsh. Now, as a result, what I want to say is, my left ear, there's a firewall up in Texas, Uvalde, against the victims' families and the press. And they are already coming out with punitive, like the families are not allowed to talk to the press, like rules, very much like, well, like Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis. It's that kind of environment. But I'm really happy about this, that a father, and I don't know the name of a Uvalde victim, hired the Sandy Hook lawyer who sued the company who made the AR-15. And it's the same company. They're called Daniel Defense. That's the name of the company. And I am so glad that this is happening, because people don't, many years ago, there was a brilliant lawyer named Morris Dees. He was from the South, and he was against the KKK. He was very much like a fighter for equal rights. And so what he did as an attorney is that he started going after the money and property of the KKK. And he really made a dent in the KKK, Morris Dees. So when it costs people money, it seems to speak. It shouldn't, but it does, and it's sad. Now, my left ear, it's a no-brainer. Many more lawsuits are coming and could bankrupt Texas. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Greg Abbott, the horrible governor of Texas, the punitive, awful governor of Texas, he moved $2 billion out of mental health care, took it out of that budget. Boing, moved it. Now he's saying, oh, we need mental health care. Well, he's responsible, and he's going to lose the election. He is not coming back as governor of Texas. People, my friends who often doubt me, I'm going, take it to the bank. They're going, oh, well, I'm going to take it to the bank. All right. I do want to say, because I've been watching, listening, writing notes, even though the gun extremists control the red states, and they are in the minority, they still control the red states, the women may rise up and really fight this now, because they don't want to lose their children. They don't want to have anxiety attacks about sending their children to school. So let's keep an eye on the women, because I think the women are going to make a difference in the midterms, blah, 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 blah. Okay. More about Uvalde. And the whole show is not about it, but here we go. There's a debate. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is a debate about displaying the photographs of the destroyed children and 2 teachers. Because when an AR-15 is utilized, it decimates. You cannot recognize someone. It just blows people apart. And the thought is that by displaying the gruesome photographs, then it might make a point. It might make a difference. It might get people angry about the people who are voting against keeping our children safe, keeping everybody safe. But I had a cynical reaction, which is that I'm not sure that people that are so entrenched in guns and hating the libs, that it will move their dial. Plus, I don't believe that these photos can be possibly made public without explicit permission from the parents, the families. I don't know if they would do that. So I'm just mentioning that this debate is going on, but it is true that the Democrats are generally hesitant about high impact messages, as they like to call it. And I'm going back to my left ear, that as horrible as those pictures probably are, I want to say are, I don't think it will matter because of the people with gun fetishes and the people who hate the libs. It would matter probably to, again, women and mothers. All right, so I did do the runes. And here was the question: will there be any gun reform before the midterms? And I just want to tell you up front, it's not good. It's not looking good. And you know how I like to give you good news and hope. This is not looking good. All right, so the first rune I pulled was signals in the reversed position. It is the messenger rune. It's about maybe concerned over failed communication or lack of awareness. Boom. May feel inhibited accepting what is offered. So it's an indication that what may be offered is so tiny in trying to negotiate some reform that there may be a sense of futility or wasted motion. This is the moment for cleansing out the old. That's what the runes told me. This is the moment for cleansing out the old. And I would say, oh yeah, like on steroids. Then the second rune was the warrior rune reversed. And it suggests through hasty or ill-timed action, life force is leaked or wasted. It's wasted motion. And once again, if an association, that would be any proposal that's on the table, is short-lived, do not grieve. It's fulfilled its span. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to have success down the road. My left ear actually thinks we will have gun reform, if not before the midterms. So it says, through hasty or ill-timed action, that would be the Democrats, how they go about it. And then questions arise about dominating another or lusting after outcomes. And I know we've been through a lot. I mean, this isn't me, I'm giving you the runes. And then the last rune in this question is constraint, which is about the necessity of pain. It's about dealing with severe constraints, and we have those of us who believe in some gun reform for safety, we're dealing with severe constraints. The inability for the gun enthusiasts, fetishers, to move the dial at all. So this rune, the constraint, indicates holdups and setbacks, and there is more work to be done. And this is why I am saying, after this consultation, if any movement happens in terms of gun reform, it's going to be minute. And my intuition is that it's not going to happen yet, all right? I really want to say yet, because now it's not going to go away. And the thing is, maybe everybody's realizing that it's not a conversation when a tragedy happens. It is a conversation every single day, like pummeling this message that we do need this gun reform. All right, now I'm gonna go on. All right, to other things. Newsweek publication has confirmed that Putin has cancer. They're not saying where. And surprisingly, they have information that Putin bypassed an assassination attempt in March. That was kept pretty damn secret, wasn't it? But Lavrov, the right-hand guy, denied the story, but he is known as an epic liar. So that remember when Putin was sitting at the long table, and everybody was making jokes? Is he afraid of COVID? And I thought there's an eject button under the table that he'll just push it and the people will eject. But that was one of the reasons that the assassination attempt, that there was so much distance. Now, sadly, and I guess it was bound to occur, Ukraine is suffering some setbacks right now. But they are continuing to receive aid and equipment. And amazingly, these are my heroes. The Ukrainians will not give up. They do not want to give up. But right now, over 20% of Russians have occupied 20% of Ukraine. My left ear thinks that there could be a turn, where Ukraine regains these territories. I might be pie in the sky. I might be too optimistic, but my left ear thinks that Ukraine will bounce back. Russia is losing soldiers en masse. So that Putin is even looking at older men going to war, forcing older men to go to war. So I did another runes. This is a runes day. And I just flat out asked, will Putin die in 2022? That's what I asked. And I'm just going to tell you in advance, I got a yes. I got a yes. And I stopped at 2 runes because it was so clear to me. You know how sometimes it'll just go, oh, boom, that's it. No need to go more. So the first rune that I pulled was the rune called Stand Still. It's very cold. I'm going to see if I can find it. It's like just one pole. I'm always struck when this one comes up. I should have probably pulled it ahead of time, and I apologize to you guys. Oh, there it is. Came right up. All right. This is called Stand Still, and it is the coldest and chilliest rune in the pack. And it basically says the winter of your spiritual life is upon you. You may feel powerless. There is no positive accomplishment now. Then I got the rune of breakthrough, which is really good. But the breakthrough, and this is where my channel comes in, is about the breakthrough that will come after Putin is deceased. And I stopped because I got the answer. So this is the year. And I feel pretty confident about it. Now we're going to move on to the Justice Department. This is really weird. The DOJ, this came out yesterday, the DOJ made an announcement. They communicated with the January 6th committee that they're declining to prosecute 2 of Donald Trump's closest White House advisors, former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, whose name you hear all day long when you're watching the news, and his former social media director and also former White House Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino, for refusing to cooperate with the January 6th committee. So the DOJ has rejected the committee's recommendation that they be charged with contempt of Congress, while both of them had central roles in the coup. Now, on Twitter, people are kind of going nuts. Oh my God, they're dropping it. My left ear doesn't think so, okay? I did runes on this because everybody's like, they're going to let Scavino go, they're going to let Meadows go. I just want to tell you, I don't think so. I think they just didn't want to bother with contempt of Congress or with the subpoenas. All right, so I asked the runes, will either of those 2 bozos be indicated on other charges? And I got a yes. So I got the rune called Signals. Signals tells us to expect the unexpected. It's a call to a new life, and I think it's a call to their new life, which could be prison. Honestly, I'm not making a joke. The rune says their connection with the divine is at hand, which under other circumstances could sound, wow, the connection with the divine. You know what I interpret it is? For them, like a come to Jesus moment. What were we thinking? Then I got the self reversed, and that indicates blocked. Blocked. Not clear about oneself. Not intimate with oneself. Not clear about what's going on. No insight. But the outer enemy is but a reflection of them, okay? And then protection reversed, which says, look carefully at the associations you have formed, like maybe with Donald Trump. You may not win, but you may learn. You know how people find wisdom in prison? They find God in prison. They may learn someday, but I'm going to go back and tell you, they're not out of the woods. I think people should calm down. The DOJ, I believe, my left ear believes, has a reason. And plus, Mark Meadows did turn over tons and tons of texts. Not everything. And they both were involved in a lot of talks. So the DOJ has their reasons. All right? Now, you probably know this, but the televised committee hearings begin June 9th. It'll be, that first one will be prime time at night. Tune in. There is this new thing that I just discovered, and others may have discovered also, that there's a former Republican Virginia congressman named Denver Riggleman, and he was on the 1-6 committee doing a lot of technical work. He has a huge background in digital and CIA operations and all kinds of stuff like that, like he's a whiz. But he's no longer employed by the January 6th, not because he did anything wrong, it just, the contract ended. He has now been sorting out massive amounts of text messages between very high-ranking individuals that he says go all the way to the top. And this will come out in the hearings that are public, are shocking. And they will be, some of them will be things we've never read before, heard before, and it's going to cover a lot of people. This is big. Prepare to put your seatbelts on. So in media reviews, Riggleman has described leading an effort to dissect a batch of text messages that former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows provided to the committee, and to link the phone numbers to those names. Now, those text messages were obtained last month by CNN, and some of them have been published. Now, I do want you to know something. The January 6th committee is very upset with Denver Riggleman. They feel like he overstepped, and they're really annoyed. There's nothing that will happen, but they're really annoyed because he did this, you know, right before the committee hearings. So he stole a little bit of their thunder. He seems like a very sincere person. I just want to mention that to you. All right, here we go. I got through all of that. Here's my 2 quotes. I love this first one, and I have been waiting to find a moment to use it. It's humorous. And it is in regard to 2 new books, political books. One written by Meghan McCain and one by Kellyanne Conway. And both books that have come out, I think in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I could be slightly wrong there, are failing. They're hardly selling. They're failing. So here's the quote. By Fran Lebowitz, who's a famous writer in New York and very edgy, funny, dark. She said, when Toni Morris said, is it Morrison? Toni Morris. I'm going to apologize if I have that wrong. She wrote Beloved. So if I have gotten this wrong, I really apologize. Toni Morris said, write the book you want to write. She didn't mean everybody. I just love that. Write the book you want to write, but she didn't mean everybody. And that's for Meghan McCain and Kellyanne Conway. And I will double check the name on Toni Morris or Morrison, because she is a history-making author and novelist. Then the second quote is by Mahatma Gandhi. And I might have used it before, but if I did, it hasn't been in a long time. But it just seemed, for all the heartache we're watching and feeling. He said, he wrote, when I despair, I remember that all through history, the way of truth and love has always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they seem invincible. but in the end, they always fail. Think of it. Always. And that was him, not me saying think of it. He said, think of it. Always. It's very hopeful. Now I'll do a little good evidence and stories for a minute. I have, some of you may not have C's candy where you live. I love C's candy, and we have it in California. And I have one thing that I really love, and they're called pecan buds. And old-fashioned, they used to be called turtles. So they're caramel and chocolate and pecans, and they're amazing, okay? So every once in a while I go in and I got like 3 or 4 of those turtles. I call them turtles, pecan buds. So I had a hankering. I think it was emotional eating. But I went, stopped into a local C's, waited for a minute, stepped up. I said, I just want 1 pecan bud. Now, when you order 1 pecan bud, they come in a little cup and there's 2 of them. So you buy 1, but you get 2. And I said, and they always give you a treat. They always give you a sample when you walk in there to buy something. So I said, if you're gonna give me a sample, would you make it caramel? Because that's my jam, caramel. So he did. And I went, pulled out my wallet, and he goes, no, just take it. Just take it. It's on me. And I went, what? And he goes, yeah, it's okay. So this young guy at C's just gave me the free candy. And I walked out. I went, oh my God, well, that was good evidence. And man, oh man, I ate them yesterday. Ooh, they were so good. All right. Now I want to tell you about, and this is where people think it's so funny. I talk about like Starbucks, Trader Joe's, blah, blah, blah. So this is Starbucks. So when I can, I go to Starbucks with earplugs because there's music and people talking. But I like the activity around me. I can really concentrate. But this day, I could only get a table that was right across where you order, where people walk up and order their drinks. And there is a young man there, really young, like maybe 20. I don't think I should say his name, okay? I'm going to say Tommy. That's not his name. But just in case, I don't want to, I don't want to. Well, he's like 20. And right now, he has like bright red hair. You think this is Raggedy Ann hair. And he's just a character. Now, I suspect he is LGBT, but he might be transitioning. Not sure. But I went in one day, and they have those little lucite boxes for tips where there are 3. And they were taking, like, who do you want for the next Spider-Man? And they had, Tobey Maguire and David Garfield and who was the other person? I can't remember, because I'm not that big on the Spider-Man movies. Anyway, so it's like you just would drop your tip into whoever. But when I'm sitting there and I'm working, this is what Tommy does. One person walks up to order a drink, and he's full of energy and goodwill. And he goes, hey, hi, how you doing today? Wow, I love your nail polish. Okay, and they have a little, and that person walks on. Then the next person walks up and go, man, did you just get a haircut? Your hair is amazing. Every single person, instead of saying, how's your day going, which you will do that, they all will do that. I think they're told to do that. Sometimes I just get so tired of being asked, how's your day going? So I go, it's going. But that's just me. They're trying to be nice, so I can't. Anyway, every single person, he found something personal to comment on, and it was always upbeat. It was always a compliment, and he does that every day. But I didn't have my earplugs in, and he talks really loud, and I had to leave. But he's an ambassador of goodwill at my local Starbucks, and I have to give it to him. He comes up with something personal for every single patron in Starbucks. He's just Great. And then the last one is me being in Ralph's grocery store yesterday. And I'm looking for things. It's not a Ralph's I'm usually in. It's so huge, it's hard to find things. So I'm in a little bit of a busy aisle, and they're really long aisles. And it's a little crunchy. There's me, and there's some other, and then there's this woman that's just charging through with her cart, and she's really not looking at anybody. She's just charging through. It's like, oh, so I got way over to the left. I mean, way over to the left where my shoulder was touching like cracker boxes so that she could get by me. So she goes right by me and says nothing. She doesn't say thank you. And I just, this is what came out of my mouth. You're welcome. And I burst out laughing. I just cracked myself up. And you know what? I don't think she heard it, but other people heard it, and I heard them giggling. So that was that. It just was a funny moment. And I said, you know, instead of being like, wow, I just went, you're welcome. And then I cracked myself up. So the laughing was good. I think we're kind of at the end. I want to mention something to the people that join my Patreon and get an extra video 3 or 4 times a month, or will be because it's brand new. Want to mention this to you. I thought a really cool Patreon would be for if whoever reads my book can ask me questions, because last week one of my viewers, wrote me and really asked me thoughtful questions about my real name, whatever happened with David, did I ever see him again? I mean, really, and so I answered her because she was so specific and seemed so interested. I thought maybe that would be a really cool Patreon, and maybe I'll go live. I haven't done it yet. That's my next thing. See, I keep building on this thing. So something to think about. I'll mention it in my community. And if you are interested in the book, you can look in my community page for the link. You can look in below in the the description for the link. But it is www.comicsdaughter.com, lowercase, no apostrophes. So there you go. I'm going to be doing more videos than what you're accustomed to. I'm going to be doing right now, looks like 2 a week, which is adding, and that's adding the Patreon on top of it. So there'll be 2 My Left Ears per week. And I'm trying to schedule it so there's a buildup of news. So I bring something, good to you. So right now I'm looking at Tuesday. It's, what day is this? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. If it's not Tuesday, I will leave you a note. But right now I'm going to do my best to do another video on Tuesday. Thank you for joining me. Stay safe. Send good energy to all those who are suffering. There's a lot of it going on. And let's light a candle for the January 6th committee, because these people are heroes for the work they've been doing, really and truly. They may actually save this wonderful experiment called democracy. So there you go. Peace and blessings, and make peace and make good memories. Okay? Bye-bye. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.